Hello and welcome to the Hedonistic Way at Midday Show. I am Renee Main and I am here with the fabulous Kate Toon. This woman is absolutely incredible, and I know that she probably needs no introduction. But for those of you who may not know Kate, she is an amazing author. She's a podcaster. She's a speaker. She is an SEO lover and a hula hooper. Kate has built 3 amazing businesses from her garden shed. She has done it by being a misfit entrepreneur and doing things really differently in a space where it's really renowned to be really untrustworthy and a little bit sleazy. So let's explore where Kate is going, and let's go. Welcome, Kate.
Hello, we made it eventually through technology challenges. Yay! I'm glad we didn't give up. I really look forward to speaking to you. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for your patience. I know every time we do a live, it's just like, please let technology be on our side today.
Exhausting, isn't it? I wish we could run our businesses without all this stuff, but unfortunately it's essential. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So let us begin by asking you one question, and that is, what is turning you on at the moment?
Oh, wow. That's a question and a half. In my business life or just life in general?
Whatever. What do you feel called to share?
I feel quite thrown by that question. I don't know. I think in business life, I'm very into connecting with other business owners. And I know that sounds really obvious, but I'm relatively antisocial, kind of like to be in my own little bubble. But over the last year, I've kind of been on a bit of a journey to meet more interesting people, be a bit more open to that. And gosh, it's been so amazing, both for my business and also just for me as a human, you know, these chats, having chats with other business owners and different types of people, they bring so much to my business. And I'm so glad that I've stopped being such a little hermit and I'm getting out there a bit more.
Absolutely. And is that why you started off your business the way you did, is because you are a little bit of a hermit and, you know, you like to stay in?
I think, you know, like people talk about being extrovert or introvert or ambivert or whatever vert it is. I think I had a very high-powered job in agency world with lots of people working for me. I'm not cut out to be the boss of lots of people. I found it, but I'm quite an emotional character and I have huge amounts of empathy. So I found it very difficult to do the hiring and the firing and the discipline. It just wasn't for me. So it was a huge relief when I started my business. I actually started my business because I got pregnant and I was a contractor, so there was going to be no maternity leave. And it was a gift from the gods that I managed, that I got pregnant and I was able to escape and start my own thing. And yes, for the early years, I did enjoy the solitude and not having to work for the man and not having to deal with the politics. But there's a part of me that enjoys that socializing as well. So it's a combination. I'm not sure, you know.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree and find myself, you know, at times we crave, you know, going out, but it's really easy when you get used to being on your own and working from home. And sometimes I find myself in everyday life going, I feel like I'm a freak from another planet because I don't feel like I'm used to interacting with people.
You get a bit lost in your own little world, so it's nice to connect again.
Yeah, it is. And that takes work to actually go, you know what, like I'm actually going to enter back out into society. I want to ask you, Kate, is that, you know, I want to say recently, but it was a little while ago now, you launched your book. What is it about doing things differently and the Misfit Entrepreneur community that really lights you up?
Well, I just think it's the honesty and the humor, I think, are 2 important parts of being a misfit entrepreneur. And we see images of people who are very styled and professional looking and very worthy and serious. And that is one way of running a business. That's definitely a way, to be that kind of way, but it's not my way. And I guess writing the book and having the group is kind of showing, look, I am a little bit scatty. I'm not always beautifully presented. I can be quite emotional and unprofessional a lot of the time. And yet I'm still successful, both in financial terms and in kind of business and authority and trust terms, whatever success means to you. So it's just about, I don't think business has to be quite so serious. And I think it should be enjoyable and not all about ROI and KPI and I just think we should try and have more fun with it, because otherwise we can go get a job again and work for the man, So
Did you start out, when you first started your business, did you start out knowing that you were quite left of center in terms of how you were connecting and owning all of these, let's say, imperfect traits? Were you aware of that, or was it not until you kind of started, years of experience, or you started writing your book, that you actually realized that you were quite the disruptor?
I think for the first 3 or 4 years, I tried to be like everybody else, and I tried to squash all those bits of my personality that didn't fit the mold. I'd always been told in job reviews and stuff that I was too emotional or didn't take things seriously enough. I've also been told by certain bosses that I was scruffy, that I was this, that I was that. And so, I left the agency world, the corporate world, with a lot of, baggage maybe. And for the first 5 years, I tried to kind of go, it's not good to be emotional, so don't be emotional. It's not good to be sentimental or empathetic, so get rid of that. And it took about 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5, to go, you know what, I'm killing all the bits of me that are actually the interesting bits, the bits that are fun, the bits that people like. And so then I spent the next couple of years embracing them and seeing what impact that had on my business. And really that's what the book is about. It's like, when you truly decide to be yourself, is that going to kill your business? Are people going to hate you? What's going to happen? And that's what the book is about how the fact that even though I am a bit odd, maybe, it's actually been the making of my business rather than to the detriment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it in those first 3-4 years when you were trying to, do everything like everybody else? What was that defining moment? Oh, but there was probably several, but what was it that you just kind of went, okay, I need to be me?
I don't know if there was a defining moment. I think it was a gradual chipping away, that it was just so difficult to write and talk and communicate in this kind of fake version of myself that I'd created. And that every once in a while I would let the mask slip and be me, and then I'd worry about it and try and get rid of it again. So it was a gradual thing. And I think I got to about 5 years and I realized I really wasn't enjoying my business very much. On paper, it was successful and I was earning money, but I'd started to get the same dread that I had when I worked for the man. And I'm like, what is it that is not working here? And it's like, it's because I'm not really being myself at all, So what's the point? So I think it was a gradual realization.
Why do you think, because I always say that our biggest calling is to be the most honest, truest, purest versions of ourselves and express that in all its entirety. Why is that so hard for us to be ourselves?
Well, one thing I love about you and your brand is that you do embrace that, and you are you wherever you are. You turn up and it's you get the same individual wherever. We've only met a couple of times, but obviously I've seen you on Facebook and you're just authentically you. And I know authentic has become a bit of a cliche. I think it's because you have to be brave to do that, and you have to accept that some people aren't going to like you, and that's okay. And some people are going to mock you, and some people are going to criticize you. So it's easier to be vanilla. It's easier not to offend anyone. There's a line, I think it might be Hemingway or someone. It's like, if you be nothing, do nothing, say nothing, then you'll never offend anybody, And I think that a lot of us live in that space. We want customers and we want attention, but we only want good attention. And unfortunately, when you put yourself out there in your hole, some people aren't going to like it. Some people are going to be negative about you, and you've got to be quite strong to let that negativity just wash off you. It's quite difficult.
It is. I absolutely agree. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but like for me, it was sometimes I can be quite shocked with who those people are as well. You know, it's like you're stepping out and you're being this person you're being you. But then I can kind of go, oh, what? Really? You? Like I'm putting you off? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing who you attract and who you repel. But I think, even if you take it back to like basic advertising, the whole point of advertising and marketing is not just to attract the right kind of customers, but it's to repel the wrong types, because the ones that you don't want, the people who aren't going to like what you do, but be happy, they're the ones that become the problem customers, the people that you have headaches with or whatever. And it's because they don't get you and you don't get them. You're not for each other. So good advertising is as much about dispelling the wrong people as it is about attracting the right people. And really everything we do online for our brands and our business is a form of advertising. Even this is a form of advertising, so being who you are all the time, it has huge benefits, but you have to be able to deal with the consequences as well,
Absolutely. I agree. And that just gave me a massive heart on to hear that. I absolutely agree. I agree. It is. It's just in that is because I don't know whether it's just like, I want to say females, but as women, like, we're born kind of people pleasers so much of the time. So it's really easy for us to go into, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. What if they know this about me? What if they find out this about me? And it's like, really, what is it going to be? Like, it's not going to be anything massive, like ridiculous. So it's just that part of ourselves that, we're unsure about. I want to ask you, you built your businesses with no investors. And, as I said earlier, it was, from a place, an industry that is really untrustworthy. Tell me about how you addressed that and perhaps how you used that to build your incredible businesses.
Yeah, so I think it's a great point. There's a question here from Shelley Weeks, by the way, of how do we deal with the consequences. So maybe we can come back to that. But yes, absolutely. My industry is I've got two really. Copywriting is one, and I don't think there's any mistrust there necessarily, although maybe with advertising. But my main courses and things focus in the area of search engine optimization, so getting yourself to the top of Google. And all of us have had emails from Sanjit saying, we can guarantee number one rankings, and all of us have the sob stories and the negative stories about people being ripped off. So I think very early on in my journey with that, I was like, I'm just going to call that out. I'm going to acknowledge that happens and not pretend that it doesn't. And I'm going to make it clear that it happens to me as well. I get those emails too, even though I rank number one for hundreds of keywords. So I call it out. I explain why. And then I guess I presented myself as the alternative. And that's not some kind of marketing ploy. I genuinely felt I was the alternative. I genuinely felt that, so I share all my tools. I share my tips. I'm very open and transparent about what works and what doesn't. And lots of SEO people are quite secretive. They pretend there's some kind of magic formula. And when I first came out and said, you know what, there isn't a magic formula and none of these guys have the secrets, I got a lot of backlash. I remember posting blog posts and people were like, you're talking rubbish, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. And I'd go into forums and a lot of it would be a lot of blokes in the forums. And because I was one of the few women, I got a lot of attention, both good and bad. And they're very critical. But what's been delightful has been that in the last couple of years, as my brand has grown and my message has got out there, that all of those guys are now jumping on board and launching their own SEO courses and doing that. And it's like, I told you so. But anyway, that sounds a bit smug, but I guess, I think I try to be honest and transparent. And I always share the good and the bad so that therefore the good is more believable because you've seen the bad as well, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. And that's exactly why we should be more transparent in when we do communicate online and we do share, because it is a vital piece. And it's reality, right? Like, it's just, I just got to this point where it's anything else is just not sustainable.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I'm 10 years in. I'm 10 years into my business. I just couldn't, I don't think I could keep doing it unless I could just actually be me every day and be honest. I think it would be a horrible way to live, to sort of turn up every day and pretend. I couldn't do it. So
absolutely, exactly. And that's exactly why we started working for ourselves, right? Is because we could just show up and do what we want when we want and express ourselves as we are.
Yeah.
Tell me, actually, let's go back to Shelley's question if we can, because that's a brilliant question. So Shelley asked, what are the consequences of essentially being yourself?
Yeah, and how to deal with them. Yeah. I think I actually just wrote a post about this, but I think you have to remember the people that love you. You know, there are people out there that love you. You need to focus on them. We all tend to focus on the one negative person rather than the 20 positives. Yeah. I think you have to know that it's generally not about you when someone is critical or writes some snarky comment or whatever. It's all about them and their issues. So if you can see that, then you have empathy with them, and then you tend to feel sorry for them rather than angry with them. And I think also the biggest thing is to know that you don't have to react in any way. You don't have to even let that enter your consciousness. You don't have to try and work out why the person said it and what you did and how you should respond to it. You just don't have to do anything with it. Just let that post live there, that comment, that thing, or delete it. Just ignore it. Every time I have reacted in any way to negative criticism, it has not worked out well. Where every time I've ignored it and just moved on with my day, then the person is left there kind of shouting as you walk away, and they look like idiots. It's not, you know, whereas if you stop and try and engage them, that's what they want. They want you to engage. You know, they want you to fight back. So I think it's remember the people you love. You know, don't let it go in either way, and also accept the fact that it's okay if some people don't like you. That's life. You know, in life and in business, not everyone's going to love everyone. It's just the way things are.
That's right. And that's, you know, and what I've come to realize is, and this is something that I'm finding, is the more and more I put myself out there with, you know, because as Bra Queen, I did, but not so much, where now everything that I'm doing with the Hedonistic Way is absolutely, I'm sharing every single part of me, and I'm starting to notice, I'm starting to polarize some people, and that is a good thing. And yes, it can hurt, because I've had a couple of people that have been triggered, and I've seen them, and there's no eye contact, because they've seen something, or I've said something, you know, that has triggered them, and that's what it is. It's just a trigger, isn't it? You know, so there's a part of me that goes, oh, I feel hurt, especially if it's a friend. But then I just have to remember that, you know what, I ignited something in them, and that, you know, and that it may not feel good for them, and it may have ruffled their feathers, but I have to believe in the long run, it's for both of our good, you know, it's.
And I think often we put a mirror up to other people, don't you? I mean, I know that the people who get on my nerves, or who I get jealous of, or who cause a reaction in me, often it's because they're showing me something about myself that I don't like, you know, and that's, you know, that, and if you have that self-awareness to take a step back, and I'm not saying I always do, maybe I have that self-awareness after the event, but it's usually something about yourself that you don't like, that they've made you realize, I think, you know.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And sometimes as well, I love something that who said it? Matt Kahn just said, I don't know if you know any of his work, but so something that he said is sometimes it can be it's not a trigger of something within yourself. Sometimes it's an acknowledgement of what you've healed and let go of.
Yeah, I think that's true
as well. So I found that to be, really interesting as well. Let's go back to, because, 10 years is changed online so much. I was just thinking this morning, it was, it's been 12 years since I first launched my first online business, and there's been many, kind of since then. And I don't know about you, but 10 years ago, all I would have to do is write a post and I was ranking number one. Like, it was easy. It was really, really easy. Now it's a completely different ball game. So I want to ask, what is the direction that you see it going right now in regards to the online space and the experience to what it was?
I think obviously the main huge difference is video and video content and the ability to live share. That's evolved. We've had Periscope, we've now got Google Live, we've got Facebook Live, Instagram allows you to share video, and YouTube is the second biggest search engine. I think the words and images on the page these days aren't necessarily enough. And I think that people are cynical and they are weary of advertising and hundreds of brands, and everyone's just looking to make a connection. And that's why, things like podcasts and Facebook Lives and videos, done well, obviously, they do build that connection. They build the trust, they build the authority, and they just help your overall brand. And that's a real challenge to a lot of business owners, because they don't necessarily want to be putting themselves out in front of their brand. You mentioned it's a woman thing, but my husband is the same way. Like, he's relatively confident, but he's not really willing to put himself out there in front of the brand. And maybe that's because of criticism or fear, but if he did, it would be so good for his business, And I'm chipping away at him, saying, maybe in a couple of weeks' time, he'll come back and suggest it to me and think it was his own idea. That's how things usually work in our relationship. But I think it's all about video. I really do. And human connection. I think that's really, really it.
Absolutely. I always say is that, and I don't even know whether it's a thing but I really feel like when we first entered into the online space, it was the information era, right? And now there's been this big transition, and I call it the connection era,
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
Because we've moved through the yellow highlighter copy, the sales copy, which got this distrust, happening in the first place. So I think that's why it's so important to be more transparent in everything that we do. I want to ask you, so about video, what role does SEO then play? What role does it play?
Well, I think the truth is that search engine optimization is not a box to be checked. Search engine optimization is just your marketing. I mean, essentially all SEO means is making your website more attractive to Google. And Google's got a big, long checklist of things it's looking for. And most of them. It wants a site that loads quickly. It wants a site that's engaging, that has nice images and text. And the text is very clear about what the content is about. It's relevant and interesting. And it wants websites that connect to each other. So it wants you to link to me, and me to link to Sue, and Sue to link to Bob. And, all those things are things that are just part of having an online brand. So SEO is not separate. Everything we do affects our ability to rank. So this video right now, for my audience, because I'm sharing it in my group as we do it, they'll now know about you. And next time they go to look for a beautiful bra, they might remember your name and type that in. So instead of typing in beautiful bras, they might type in Renee Main's bra shop. And then you're getting that search term has become yours. Your audience might remember me. So we're building authority, we're building our brand. And what we're doing is narrowing down the search terms that people might use to find us. So instead of looking for what we do, people start looking for who we are. We built our name. And it's much easier to rank for our name than it is for some abstract thing. So it's just all part of the mix, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you so you've had, 3 businesses, and your business has kind of, I want to say it's gone in like different directions, but it hasn't. It's all of it like still very aligned. How have you dealt with that part of, I think being an entrepreneur is staying on path, launching a product that makes sense, and not going off track into a gazillion different directions?
Yeah, shiny object syndrome, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Honestly, if I was a true entrepreneur, I'd probably still be a copywriter earning hundreds of thousands of dollars writing for big brands. And over time, I would have just put my rates up. But I did have 2 shiny objects. I wanted to launch a SEO course. I wanted to launch a copywriting school. So I launched those shiny objects, but I stayed earning money with my main business. And then slowly built those up to the point where I flipped over. There was a point about 2 years ago where I flipped over and I started winding down the copywriting as I wound up the other things. And it was hard. It was, there was a couple of years where I was working long hours and doing all the things. So I think there is staying on track, and my why has always been to earn enough money to provide my family with a decent lifestyle. I don't have lofty ambitions. I don't want to change the world. Over time, that's evolved into earning that money through helping people in the way that I help people. I mean, I'm not, curing cancer, but I am helping people have better business lives. And I've stayed true to that. But I have taken side routes. They've all converged again, as you said. It's very interesting the way you put it, because I kind of went, blah! But now it's all come back together again. But, sometimes the side routes are the best bits, and you've got to explore them just to tick them off. I'm going to try this. I didn't enjoy it. Now I'm going to tick it off and not do it anymore. I think you have to do that. It's all an experiment. It's all a journey. You say journey.
I so agree. And that's because I know, like, for myself, it's, I kind of, at times over the years, I've gone, just pick one thing. Like, just pick one thing, stay at that one thing. God, it would be so much easier.
So boring, Renee.
Exactly. And that's, I think that it's that belief in knowing that it's for a reason, and I think having that longevity in our business and serving at the 10-year mark now is that I've found over the last couple of the years, it started off so very niche. And then I went out and had this wide berth of business, but it's come out the other end. It's absolutely, like, it's together, and it made sense. At the time, it didn't make sense. Yeah. But now it absolutely makes so much sense. And it's like, oh, well, of course.
Yeah, it looks like you've had this amazing plan and it was all a master plan. But it's just but I think you have a few things there. You have to be okay with not earning money for a little bit. You have to be okay with feeling uncertain for a little bit, feeling uncomfortable and thinking things aren't working. And you have to be okay with sticking at stuff in the face of it not working and people not liking it. How long you stick at that, everyone's different. But, when I first launched my SEO course, the first round, I think I sold 16 spots, which sounds okay, but it wasn't great. And then the next round, I sold even less. I sold like 13. And at that point, many people would have gone, well, that's not working. But I kept at it, kept pushing. And went through that pain period, and then you come to the other side and it starts flowing. But equally, all of this could fall apart tomorrow. That's the thing. I'm launching my course again on Monday. No one could buy it. And would I be devastated by that? Honestly, no, I wouldn't, because I sort of feel that right now, if that died, then it would die, and I would just start something else, Yeah. And that kind of confidence, I think that really only comes with time and failing and getting up and failing and getting up. I don't think that's confidence you have day one. I think that evolves over time.
Absolutely. And I think as well is that, we hear so much about, you know, the overnight success and build your business in, you know, create, you know, this 7-figure business and create it with ease and flow and, you know, all of these things which sound absolutely amazing. But it's that surrender of trust, isn't it? You know, where, again, I think only comes with time.
I do, yeah.
Really. And knowing that, you know, things aren't going to work sometimes.
And that's okay, you know. Things are, some of the best things I've done have ultimately ended in absolute failure, but I'm still proud I did them. The thing I always talk about is that for a long time I was really invested in making a series of SEO tea towels I'm talking about. Why? I have no idea. What's that got to do with anything? The amount of time I spent getting designs done and getting quotes, and I set up a shop, and then I just stopped one day and went, what am I doing? Why am I trying to sell $12 tea towels? You know? But I really enjoyed it, and it was fun, and I may resurrect it one day. But yeah, that, you know, that's playing. We have to play in our business a little bit. Yes, earn money, but you know, 10% of the week should be playing, learning, should be messing about, trying stuff out, having some fun. My whole Misfit Entrepreneur group that I have, it's really utterly pointless. I don't know why I have it, but it's fun, you know? And fun is important to me. So, you know, I think you've got to play. You've got to play sometimes.
Absolutely. I think you do. You absolutely do, because as you said before, it becomes so serious, you know, and business becomes so serious. And it's just some days where you just, like, it felt like years where I went, I feel like I haven't actually laughed for ages. You know, I feel like I'm so serious in my business that, you know, it was boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Something that I'm curious about is your thoughts on, I watched Shark Tank last week, and they said, and is there 4 or 5, however many there are, of the entrepreneurs, the investors, they all, I'll say, belittled this woman because she didn't work like 12-hour days, and she built like a multi-million-dollar business, but she only works on it about an hour or 2 a day. Now, they were taking the piss, saying that she's not serious, but I was like, I don't know about that. You know, like, I actually quite like the fact that she's built this big business and only worked a couple of hours a day. What have you got to say about, I'll guess, the old school thought process as to, you know, you have to work hard for the money, to having this, you know, it's much more abundant, I think, kind of exchange of, you know, time, service, money?
I think there's lots there to unpack. I think, you know, working hard doesn't necessarily mean working smart. I know people who work very long hours and don't achieve very much at all. I don't necessarily believe in the 4-hour work week and being able to automate everything and just sort of dip in. I think that's a bit of a myth that we've been sold and we're all working towards, but I don't think it's necessarily true. But I mean, I have a limited amount of hours a week. You know, I have between 9 and 3 when my son is at school. That's all I have. So I do what I can in those hours, and I don't like working weekends, and I don't want to work evenings. Now, that's not to say for periods of my life I have not done that when I was building stuff, but it's not who I want to be. And so with my business, I made a conscious decision that my business will only grow as big as it can grow within the time that I have. If I need more time to make my business bigger, then my business isn't going to get bigger, because it was always meant to be about lifestyle, and it was always meant to be about being happy and not working hundreds of hours and not having to commute. And so people have come to me over the years and said, oh, if you hired 3 or 4 people, you could do this. Or if you moved to an office space, you could do this. Or people have offered me investment money. If I'll invest, you know, 100,000 in your business, then we can take it to the next level. And I'm perfectly happy saying, I don't want to go to the next level. What is the next level? What's the point? Why would I do that? I don't want to be Mr. Shark Tank with who's working 60 hours a week and is miserable and is probably going to have a heart attack by the time he's 62. No, thank you very much. So I do think you have to work hard. I think it's more about turning up, and not necessarily consistently, but turning up even when things are poo, even when things aren't selling, turning up, doing the work. But I don't believe you need to work yourself into an early grave. Not at all. That's stupid. Stupid.
It is. Yeah, I agree. And I love that, because it's what, and as you said before, is, what is whatever your definition of success is. And it's okay to, we hear so many coaches and mentors and, all those, saying, for the people who want to change the world. Now, the world may be to do something absolutely massive, or it may be small or somewhere in between. No matter what it is, it doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant as long as it's relevant and it means something to you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I must say one little thing there, the whole abundance mindset, I have a tiny issue with it. I do agree that there's enough work to go around, but I also don't think that you can just sit there and wait for that work to come. So I have 150 copywriters in my membership group, 150 people who are all actually competitors. The ones that do well are the ones that put themselves out there, who turn up, who take risks, who are a bit ballsy now and again, because they believe that there's not enough work out there, but they have to go out and get it. And I just think sometimes this abundance mindset can kind of could make you a bit lazy and think that, it's okay because the universe will send me stuff. The universe won't send you stuff. You've got to go out into the universe and get it,
Absolutely. Exactly. That's it. And, for me, I always say, to my clients, is that it's, abundance mindset is actually just opening up that channel and opening up that vessel to allow it in to receive, but it's actually us just listening for what action we need to take. Like, that's it. That's the abundance mindset, is that allowing it in, and for sure, whatever crazy opportunities that might come our way that we don't expect, but it's really listening to the action that we need to take. And I think that's really important, which leads me to my next question. I'm curious to know, what do you do? What is your best lead generation strategy? What is working for you at the moment?
I think helping people. That sounds really naff, but I created a big group, I Love SEO group, where it's a very low emotion entry point. What I mean by that is joining a Facebook group takes a second. You don't have to give much of yourself. And then that creates an environment where I can have a conversation. I sound such a wanker right now, but I can have a conversation with people. I can show them what I do. I can help them. I also put aside time every week to go into other people's group and answer questions. I don't sell anything. I just help answering questions, which makes me feel good, but also makes people go, she knows what she's talking about. She seems pretty cool. So, yeah, and it is a slow burner. Like, there's no immediate return. There's no measurable ROI on that. Sometimes someone will say to me, you just kept popping up again and again and again. I kept seeing you offer advice, and then I signed up to your thing, and then I did this, and here I am now buying your big expensive course, and I'm not quite sure how I got here. And I like the funnel, whatever the funnel is. I like that my sales process is maybe not recognizable and people don't quite know why they buy my stuff. I quite like that. It sounds really bad.
Absolutely. No, I love it.
I wear them down, Renee. I just wear them down until they give in. Generally, just having fun and helping people as much as possible. I share as many silly posts as I do helpful posts. And I think some people are drawn to my brand because I shared that stupid meme. And that's the entry point. And then they go to often explore the rest. So, yeah, I'd say helping people and Facebook groups would be my biggest lead gen at the moment. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, is because before we met, I have recommended you a gazillion times.
Have you?
Yes. like so many times and for years. But we'd never actually met. We'd never have a conversation. And in all honesty, I didn't even know the work that you delivered. I just had this trust in you. And it was this sense of knowing that I was like, yep, Kate will help you. Like, Kate's your girl. Like, yep. Like, yeah.
Well, that's pretty nice. Really I do think you get a good vibe about people, though. It's like, when you get an avocado and you can press your finger into the top and it's just the perfect avocado. And some people within minutes of meeting them or seeing a video or whatever, you just know that they're a good avocado. And that's what it is. That's my hashtag avocado. It's all about that.
Exactly. That's it. And some people that don't like are unsure about the pressing the top, they might need to like be at the side.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm delirious. I don't even know what I'm talking about now. But yes, it's all about. I think we intuitively know who are good eggs and who aren't good eggs, and and then it's quite nice when that's proven to be true, when you do actually meet someone and they are everything you thought they would be, rather than some people you meet and you're like, wow, you are nothing like the person you present yourself to be on your podcast or whatever. And I've met, I'm sure you have, I've gone to lots of conferences, I've met a lot of these big names, and some of them, they are just everything you thought they would be, and others you're like, it's all artifice. Everything is artifice. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
I absolutely could not agree more. On my, behind me, well, it's in front of me, I have this little values kind of checklist, and it says, the second line is, my stage is my life. And when I'm on the stage and free to connect abundantly and openly, when my life seamlessly flows into that cross-pollination of who I am off stage is exactly the same person as who I am on stage. And I think that is for me, integrity is absolutely everything. And I could not agree more. The night at the business awards, I was, and we were talking, and a lady was next to us as well. So the three of us were chatting, but the lady, you didn't see her, but she was to the side of you going, that's Kate Toon.
Embarrassing, really. I know. There you go. And I think first the first thing we started talking about was how much envy I had of your boobs and how much I missed my boobs. So, it's funny. I always say that I'm not particularly woo-woo, and I would put you definitely in the woo-woo category. You've even got a dream catcher behind you, which is for me, ultimate woo. But as time goes on, I become more and more woo-woo. I start to believe that I'm British, for God's sake, and I'm very cynical. But as time goes on, the woo gets stronger. So I agree with you very much.
Yeah. I love that. I really do. I want to say thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, you've got your launch on Monday. So I wanted to ask you two things. Is that do you do anything amazing when it comes to when you launch a product? Do you have any strategy or plan? How do you kind of tackle that, and tell us about that launch? What is it?
So look, I don't have I always say I don't have a plan, but clearly I do, because I do the same thing each year. I spend all year doing my thing, speaking at events, doing my podcast, sharing tips and advice in my group. It's just content marketing throughout the year. I don't spend any money on advertising, Facebook ads or Google ads. So what that means is, throughout the year, I build up a wait list. So on my page, it's there. You can see everything about the course, and you can join a wait list, which is an email list. And so usually by the time the course launches, I have about 750 people on that wait list who come from various different places. Yeah. And then I send them a few emails before the course launches, explaining, how it works, how much it costs, what you get. And so generally what that means is that by the time the course actually launches, people are just... I'm not selling. It is literally a notification email. The email goes out saying the course is open, and people they've had 3 months, a year, 4 years to decide whether to buy. So then they either buy or they don't. The only other thing I do is I do a little run-up week. So in my group at the moment, I try and be a bit more visible the week before, just to remind people that I'm there. But no, it's interesting because I recently considered getting a Facebook ads agency to do my ads, to do Facebook ads. I haven't done them for 3 years. They never really did anything. And they were like, okay, well, tell us what your conversion rate is and how many people who do this then move to do this and what percentage of those people do. And I'm like, I have no idea, because the figure I care most about is my bottom line, and that's healthy. So I don't really need to examine why it got there. It sounds such bad business. They were appalled and they were like, we can't do your Facebook ads because you've got no figures. But it just, as I said, it's attrition. I just wear them down, and then eventually they just give up and buy. That's how it works. That's my plan.
Yeah. Oh, I love. And so, is it a 12-month course, or how often do you launch it?
I launch it 3 times a year. The course runs for 8 weeks, guided, but you get lifetime access to everything. And with SEO, that's super important because it changes all the time. So I'm constantly updating the videos and adding new content and taking things away. So once you buy, you get that forever. So every time something new happens, you get that video. You don't have to pay me anymore. And then I have an ongoing, after the course, you get 3 months of support. And then after the course finishes, if you want more support, you want to talk to me, you want to have coaching, then you can choose to pay a monthly subscription if you want to. But if you don't, you just have the course materials and you're good to go. So 3 times a year I launch it, and that's enough, really. That's fine, yeah.
Can I ask you, and I'm just conscious of time as well, but you just said something is, for me, creating, like, words are everything. Like, I love writing. I've always loved writing. And for me and my clients, is something that I love is pulling those words out of them and being able to articulate that in a beautiful way. Is there something then that we would need to then go over to make sure that it is SEO friendly, or we can optimize it better? Or what would you do to keep the heart and soul in the words but make sure that it's being optimized correctly?
That's such a good question. So I have a little small course called the 10-Day SEO Challenge where I talk about that, because people often say to me, oh, I don't want to do SEO because it's going to ruin my writing, it's going to ruin my flow. I think there's a couple of different things here. Not everything you write needs to be for SEO purposes. Yeah, it's fine for you to write a blog about your cat just because you want to write a blog about your cat. And that's going to connect, you share it on social media, that's going to connect with people on a different level. But yeah, if you're trying to write a piece of content that you would like to show up on Google, you just need to think about your customers. What sort of thing would they type into Google to find this article? What sort of questions would they ask? Write that on a sticky note, put it on your screen, then go ahead and write your whole beautiful, heartfelt article. And then at the end of it, just go back and go, did I actually use those words that I was trying to target? Where did I use them? Did I use them in the title, the header? Did I put them in the image name? It's the two things, heartfelt and Google friendly, are not mutually exclusive. They can work beautifully together. But I think we should always write for humans first and then for Google second, because humans drive the internet and Google follows. That's the way that it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And just have those signature posts that, that honor the things that people are going to Google as well. So I love what you said then, is not every single post has to rank, so it's just about knowing, then having that core content that you do want to, get found. So I love that. Thank you so much for your time today, Kate. It is a joy. It is. It's nice to I'm so glad that we finally connected. And it's funny is because as soon as I see a fellow hedonist as soon as you see them. I just knew it before you even said it. So thank you for showing up in the way that you do. And you said that you wear people down. until eventually they buy. I actually just think you show up every day. And I think that is such a fucking amazing thing to do, is to show up every day. I think that if that is a strategy, that level of self-awareness, discipline, and self-honor is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for doing everything that you do in the most amazing way that doesn't actually fit a box. And that is something that I absolutely love about you the most. So
that almost made me a bit weepy. Thank you. And thank you. I'll think about that. Take that on board. Showing up. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what you do. That's what you do really, really well. And I think that's really important. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you for letting me borrow your Be Live for the day.
And now I have to press the big red button that says end broadcast. So
yes.
Shall I press it? Are you ready? Shall I press it?
Yes, ready. Thank you, guys. I will put all Kate's info in the post above. So thank you so much, and I'll see you